Hello everyone, today we're gonna continue creating our game character. Today we're gonna be creating the armor and the weapon of the character. So it's gonna be a process of just keep working on the low poly version in the mode 1. And we're basically gonna be extruding the parts of the armor from the main mesh because we want the character to be just one mesh, not different pieces. Only the sword is gonna be a different piece. You can indeed create a game character that is made of different pieces. Then you can attach the different meshes in the same character, but for simplicity's sakes, because this is the first game character we are creating, we're gonna do something a little bit more simple, just like one mesh. So let's do it. We're gonna be using the same tools as usual. We're gonna be using mostly the boolean, the connect, the target weld, a little bit of bridge, extrudes, same thing as usual. And maybe we are gonna be using a little bit of the circularize, but mostly the same tools we used in the last lecture. So let's do it. So let's take a look here what we need here. We are gonna have to reposition some of the elements of the topology here so it will fit a little bit better with the armor that we need to create. So I just hid the camera. The camera was in the way. So let's go back here to the character, and I'm just moving some part here in the hip area. I realized I need more topology, so I connected some of the edges with the connect. Now I have enough points and edges to move them around and to create this part of the armor, the crotch part of the armor protecting part of his pelvis. So just moving the points and to get a shape that looks a little bit similar to what we have in the reference. And now in the perspective view, have to move some point, and remember, always go to the perspective view after you finished correcting in the front and the side view. You need to check in 3D to see if that's working or not. So now I'm gonna move this here with the slide tool, and finally I'm gonna select all these faces here, and I think I selected everything that I need. And okay, I think that was needed, and now let's extrude this. So let's extrude again. Okay, I think that level of thickness is enough to start creating the armor. So that's the process I'm going to be doing throughout the character. So selecting some parts and then extruding. Here I just created the belt, and now I'm gonna create this kind of buckle. It's more like a armor where the buckle should be. So I just extruded two faces, and now I'm extruding the ring around it. So now I have enough points to again move them and get that in a shape that's closer to my reference. So let's take a look here. I'm gonna move those points down, maybe this edge down, another point down. This one's gonna go down too, and I'm gonna move this here. And I just realized I need more lines here so I can get the diamond shape I need. Let's see what would be the best way for me to cut that. I don't want to create a whole cut. I could try to play with the selection constraint here and try to just select some of the edges and then use the multi-cut. But I don't want that cut across the belt. So I'm just gonna, I think, go manually and then use the connect. So that's easier way. So now I have the points I need, and gonna select here, put in position, and to move this so it's not like getting inside of the pelvis. So let's move those points here, and again using the front view as a reference. And now I think I need what I get. I have to do some slight adjustment here. So this can be a little bit tricky because we're not kind of seeing everything there. So it's kind of tricky to get the camera to see that part. So, but I think we got what we needed. So we're gonna create the lateral part of the armor, the pelvis armor. So I'm selecting those edges and connecting, and again I'm just creating extra geometry so I can work and make this a little bit closer to my reference. So I'm just taking a look here on the side. So let's see. I'm using like a edge constraint. So if I move those points, I'm gonna be moving only on the edge. They're gonna be sliding through the edge. So this one's gonna be here, this one's gonna be kind of here, and this one here, and this middle one's gonna be here. And now I can extrude this. Let's see, I think that thickness is good enough. Now I can extrude. I have to turn off the constraint, so now I can extrude. And let me scale this, move, put in that direction, move up here, and here in the 3D view I can select, and then I'm on the side view, I'm gonna be scaling some of those edge loops so they look a little bit more like the reference. And again, this can be a little bit tedious. You're gonna be going from the 3D view and the side view a lot, so get used to click on the spacebar a lot. So now on the front, side view again, and now I just have to fix this part here is going to be extruded and needs to be smaller, so I'm scaling, and I'm going to move here. Notice the scale between the side and the front reference is not really correct in this part, so I'm gonna have to make kind of a compromise between them. So this is look good for the beginning. I can go back and fix later on. So just let's move some points here in the ankle part, so just to make this a little bit more organic. That part was a little bit too linear, and now I'm gonna move some points and see if everything aligns a little bit better with my reference. And I'm gonna extrude this. No, you know what? Okay, now let me select again here, and now I'm gonna extrude. I'm gonna select this part here, and I'm gonna extrude again to create like the metal part of the boot. And actually, what I have to do here, I'm gonna try to move those points so I can get the shape similar to the plate I need in the back of the foot. So I'm gonna move those points here up, this up here, so it's a little bit curved. It's gonna go down, and okay, let's see what I have here. So it's a little bit closer to what I need. This should go here. Now I can select this and I can finally extrude. Okay, it's not gonna be as thick as the other part of the armor. So now I can extrude the soles of the boot. So they are very distinct from the metal part. I'm gonna move that edge down. Now let's work on the tibia armor here. Again, I'm gonna use the slide constraint. Remember, you can also use the transform constraint on the modeling toolkit. So now it's following the reference better, those points. I'm gonna move this up. I'm gonna move this. And here's here. Just a little bit like here. So what I'm trying to do is to create and try to approximate the reference without creating a lot of new cuts. So sometimes it won't work. So sometimes you have to try different things. So I'm going to select this here and this here. And I'm going to extrude this. No, I don't want this to be super thick. 0.07 is good. I'm gonna move this around. I'm gonna move some points so I can get the faces I need to create the two details on the front. So move this and let's take a look here on the front. So we can move those points here. And I want this to be curved like the part I'm gonna extrude, and this is gonna move here, here, here. And so far so good. Okay, this needs to go down. Let me select those edges, and looking good so far. Now maybe if I select this. Yeah, because it's just one part, so it needs to be only the frontal one if we look the reference on the side. So I'm gonna have to adjust a little bit, like the front part is not as deep. So now I'm extruding the front part. Now I need to, let's take a look here. Select all of those. No, let me manually move this here. Select everything again. Let's take a look. I'm gonna slide this and this, as well as this and this here. So basically I'm trying to make this much thinner, but I don't want to simply scale this to squash it, because then it won't maintain the form I need. So I'm just playing in the 3D space, moving the points around until I get something that I like. And as I do this, I've been using a lot the transform constraint, so I'm turning that on and off. And let's see here. So I have this part here that I'm gonna pull up, and to get something that's closer to the shape of my reference as usual. Let's scale this, and can move that down, and let's see, move this, this should be good, should go down, maybe this could go up, and like this. Okay, and now let's use the target weld to get rid of some of those points. And Let's go back here and select the top view and extrude it. So scale this, flatten, then let's correct the vertices here, and we get this weird shape. Let's move that back, something around here. Then I can move that. Now I can extrude. And again, I'm not trying to perfectly fit the reference. I mean, the reference is more of a guideline than the final form. And that depends a lot of the kind of project you're working. In this case, I created the character. I can do some poetic licenses. I can change a little bit of the concept. During the modeling, I noticed like the armor needed to be a little bit shorter than what I had in the reference. So let's get this here and let's extrude, and then we get this new level of armor. So let's scale this up, and looking good so far. Let's see what else we need. We need the tight armor, so we need to make the protection here. So what I'm doing, I'm creating some extra cuts with the multi-cut, simply following the reference. I'm trying to use the existing topology if possible, but when not, I can just create the new cuts. Ideally, when you create new cuts, you do like I did. Instead of creating a whole new ring, you can sometimes just connect with a vertex that it's already there. That's what I did here. Again, I started from a vertex that was already there, and now I have what I need. And let's extrude this. Oh, select something wrong. Here it's good. Let's take a look here. Let's save this and let's concentrate on the chest. So for the chest, we're gonna have to move some topology, and maybe we're gonna need to create some extra lines, but in the beginning, always try to work with what you have. So I'm gonna move those points. And what do we have here? So this line goes here, and it goes here, goes here, goes here, goes here. It's gonna go down. And this one, okay, so I'm gonna have to create some extra connections here. So just connecting this and this. So let's take a look closely to our chest here. What I want to do is to lay out the points in a way that I can extrude the white part around the chest. Not sure if I'm going to be able to just move the points, but let's try to do that. So I'm going to move this up and this down. I'm going to reposition this here. And let's take a look at the shoulder area. And here in the back. And I could select this part here. And let's just move this down a little bit. So here I'm using the dotted line as the reference, and I'm gonna select all these points here, and I'm gonna extrude with enough thickness so I get something similar to the reference. I think that's good. And now I have to reposition like those the point of the extruded face. So I can extrude that again, get the rest of the chest plate of the armor here. So I'm gonna move those points here and those points here and the side ones here. And I think that's good, so I can select. Actually, I'm gonna turn off the symmetry and I'm gonna select extrude this with 0.1 and a little offset, maybe 0.05. That's good. So I'm gonna do the same in the other side. The reason I'm doing without the symmetry is because otherwise he would extrude the fourth faces, because the faces are one on the side of the other. So I needed to do without the symmetry. So again, 0.1 and then 0.05 offset. Let's move some of the edges here, and I'm gonna extrude this middle part here. And let's save, and 0.1 and 0.05 again. So let's just tweak a little bit and see if that's working. Now I'm gonna extrude this back plate here. And again, the same values, 0.1 and offset of 0.05. So far so good. So I'm gonna move this a little bit here, so the armor is not so close to the shoulder. This could be good. This could be down. Let's just tweak a little bit here. Okay, looking good so far. Let's save and let's see what else can we create. Okay, we're gonna create a extra line here on the belly, and we're gonna move the point so it's gonna follow the anatomy a little bit. We just need that so when we start animating we have more material for the deformation. So here on the shoulder I'm flattening the points and then I'm beveling to create more edges, so I have more topology to work with. And I'm gonna move those points here so I have something closer to the reference, and we need some starting point where I'm gonna be extruding the shoulder armor. So I'm gonna connect some of those vertices here, so I have something similar to the reference, and that's gonna work as a starting point for my shoulder armor. So I'm gonna select these faces here and let's extrude this once, and I'm gonna scale this out. I'm gonna move a little bit. I'm gonna check on 3D, and then I'm gonna offset this, and then I'm gonna extrude one more time. So now I can just take a look here on the side, and let's move this. I need everything here, and let's move the pivot point, rotate a little bit, and I can move those points here so it's closer to the reference. So far so good. So now we need to create some extra lines that will give us enough information again to create the armors, but now we're working with the biceps. So we have like the armor in two parts here, at the top and in the back. So I'm just create some extra lines, and then I'm connecting some vertices to some edges here, and again here and this here. So far so good. I'm gonna delete that and connect those here, and finally I'm gonna use target weld to get rid of some vertices that I didn't want. I'm gonna do the same on the other side, so we're gonna select those faces here, and we're gonna connect. And now we need to create one more connection, maybe. No, yeah, one connection here, and then we're gonna connect this here, another one here, another one here, and same principle. We're gonna connect this here and delete those faces, and then use the target weld to get rid of some of the points that we don't need. And we're gonna move that. So now I can select the faces because now they have the shape I need to extract, not extract, to extrude the armor. So now just simple extrude and just a little tweak here before I go back to extrude. Okay, so now let's extrude, and I think that thickness is good, very close to what we had in the reference. Now let's move those points here, and we're gonna create the armor for the forearm. So one extra cut here. I'm gonna select those two parts, and I'm gonna make this a little bit thicker. Now I can move this, rotate a little bit, and we can scale this up. So now looking good. I'm gonna select this again and change the scale a little bit, rotate this, move a little bit, and I'm gonna select this here and make this a little bit bigger. And now the focus is gonna be on the hand. Just select some of the faces on the top, extrude, offset a little bit, and we have the armor on top of the hand. So let's check the topology we have so far. Looking good. Save this. So now we can focus on creating the helmet. We have a good starting point, but we need some more topology. I'm gonna select these faces here, and I'm gonna connect them. Now I have more topology. I'm gonna connect this here and this here. I'm gonna start moving some points here, so I am gonna get a shape that it's closer to what I have in the reference. So I'm gonna move this here, this here. I could move this down and this here. Let's see, we can select those points, and we bevel here. We're gonna move this down. This is gonna go up, and we're gonna scale this down. We're gonna flat this so they are gonna be on the same level, and we're gonna put this back here. We're gonna have to select those edges here, and here in the perspective view, I'm gonna have to move them, and now we need to create some extra topology so I can create the center part of the helmet. I'm selecting all those edges, and I'm gonna connect them, and now I have the extra topology I need. I'm gonna scale them. So now I'm gonna select all those vertices here. I'm gonna use the target weld to correct some of those, and let me check here. They need to be aligned. I'm gonna try to manually move here and make this look a little bit more organized. Now I'm gonna select all the faces I need. So I'm gonna select all the parts of the helmet that I'm gonna extrude to create the details of the helmet. So I have this part here, and now I can just extrude. So 0.1 I think it's good. I'm gonna flat those points so they're aligned, and I have the visor. I could move some of the point here. I'm gonna create one extra cut here, and I'm just gonna move this. So this extra cut was just to make the visor a little bit more curved, but in the back I want this to be flat. And now let's see, we're gonna move this part down so it fits a little bit better with the reference. And here we need to move this, and we need to organize this back part here. Everything should be in the same level, so let's flat them, scaling them in the same direction. And here we need to create the jaw, so let's create a new line with the connect tool. Let's slide this edge, so it's gonna be here in the chin detail we have. So far so good. Let's extrude this, or extrude, no, let's extrude this. Let's see what I could do. Let's move this. Yeah, so now it's a little bit better. So instead of extruding out, I'm gonna do extrude inner, so I'm extrude inside. So I'm gonna select this here, and I'm gonna give a negative value. So now it looks like what I need. I just have to move those points here, so it's gonna look a little bit more curved. And I'm always checking in the side and the front view, and then in the 3D view. So finally we need to get those faces here in the back, and then we're gonna have to extrude one more time. Before that, I'm gonna have to correct this. They need to be aligned, and I need to move them down maybe. Okay, so let's move here and a little bit down here. So let's extrude, and a little bit less, 0.5. Okay, so I think that's looking pretty good so far. So now that we have the basic shape, let's correct the shading of each polygon. So let's turn off my wireframe on shade here, so we just see the faces. It's not that bad, but it's not exactly the way we want. Some faces that should be flat are smooth, and some that should be smooth are flat. So what I'm gonna do is select all the faces, click twice in one, then let's go to mesh display and soften edge. So now if I deselect, you see everything is very soft. Now we can manually tell Maya which face should be hard. So let's start selecting the faces that should be hard. So it's basically a question of looking in the reference and the model, and to think each what parts should be really hard. Like, so this is a guy with a armor which is mostly made of metal, so any part that's like a corner or a sharp corner, so we should select those edges, and then we should make that hard. So I'm going through the model and selecting all the faces that I think we should harden. So we need this part here in the armor, we need the armor in the crotch. Sometimes as I go through like the model, I'm gonna notice like some problems, and then I have to do like a quick fix, and then I can go back to the edge mode and start selecting again, which was the case here. So I have the armor I need here. I noticed this is uneven, so let me fix those points here and fix here too. So okay, looks good. Let's go back, selecting the edges on the belt that I want to be hard, and now the armor on the side. So in the chest area, I want to like the lines dividing the different plates on the chest, otherwise we won't see that much definition. Let me correct some of the lines here around the shoulder, and then I'm gonna select the shoulder armor, all the plates, now plates on the biceps, and now the top plate, and now the forearm and the hand plate. I need to do some little adjustments here, and now I can select everything on the hand, and now we can select everything here that I need in my helmet. Here, let's go back here and select those details here, and I'm also selecting around the visor. So that was a lot of selecting, but now I have everything that I need here, and I just go to mesh display, harden edge, and now if I unselect the character, now I have a very low poly model but with a very well defined surface. So like the blue part that should be very smooth, it is smooth, but the armor is much more sharp because I put the hard edge on the model. So for today, that's what we're gonna be doing, just the low poly version, like the complete version. The last thing I need to do is the sword, so let's jump to the sword. So that's not a traditional sword, it's more angular science fiction sword. So let's start with the cube here, and I have some divisions, position in the handle, and I'm gonna move those down, up, and here on the perspective I'm gonna use the circularize, so I get a circular shape for my handle. And now I can continue creating the rest of the sword. Some extrude with offset, extrude down, offset again, and then can extrude one more, scale, and now scale down. And now on the top I'm gonna scale a little bit with offset and scale up, extrude again. Let's redo this. Let's position here, and now I'm gonna scale so there's a little bit more round. I'm gonna select those edges, no, actually those faces, and I'm gonna offset, and I'm gonna do the same in the other side. I'm gonna select those two, and I'm gonna extrude that. I'm gonna create this first part of the cross guard, and I'm gonna scale, make this a little bit thinner. I'm gonna create a cut here, and I'm gonna bevel this here, and I'm gonna change the metering, like auto, and then off, and then I'm gonna delete those, and I'm gonna extrude this down. Actually, let me just move like this, and I flatten the point. I'm gonna reposition the point here, so in the perspective I can check if that's looking good. I'm gonna create some extra cuts here and another one across here, so I can finally delete those faces here, and I can use the bridge to just connect this here. So I'm gonna create an extra, so creating extra faces here using the bridge, and that's good. I have my cross guard here, so now I'm gonna bevel the cross guard with the base, and then I'm gonna use this to create the base where I'm gonna get my blade. So now I have this, and I'm gonna select the faces, and I'm gonna extrude this. I'm gonna extrude until I can flat the point, and I'm gonna put in this area here. And now I'm gonna reposition all the main vertices here to get the shape I have in my reference. So I have the basic shape of the sword, and now I have to create some little details on the blade here. Just like correct and make the blade really thin. So I'm using target weld to weld some of the points. And let me create some extra points here. And one here, so let's target weld everything. So we have a really fine edge like a sword should have. And I'm just using target weld to get rid of unnecessary points. Now I'm gonna get this part of the crossguard. I'm gonna offset, extrude only with offset. And I got some weird points there. I'm just like manually correcting this. And let's move that out a little bit and make this thinner. And let's put a bevel here, and let's target weld some of those points. There are too many vertices there, so just let's simplify here. So I'm gonna select those faces, and okay, so I wanna, okay, now it's good. Now I can extrude this up, and then I'm gonna flat this area, rotate in the other direction, scale this a little bit, move down, and I have to check on the side. I need to scale this. So this part's like crossing it just protects one part of the sword. It's just a cool detail. So I'm gonna scale this so it's gonna follow more or less the reference I have. I need to create some extra geometry so I can create those cuts, the cuts I need. So like this. I'm gonna slide this here. Now I can select those faces here, and I can delete them, and now I can bridge all those holes. So basically selecting the edges on both sides and then just filling. So I'm using a lot of isolate to isolate the part that I want to work. Here I'm just selecting faces and connecting. So let's delete this. I didn't like that face, so I deleted the faces, and I'm gonna use bridge to correct that part. So, and I use fill hole to complete that. I'm gonna do the same on the other side. So one bridge command and then a fill hole. And more or less, see. So I'm doing some fixes here. I created some connected lines in the middle because I'm gonna position this around the area of that blue and yellow detail that we have. There's a little detail that's gonna come out of the sword. Again, it's not a very logical sword. It's just a science fiction, exaggerated, stylized sword. So I'm just gonna put that in the middle. So I used circularize, and I'm extruding now and using the scale to flat them. So now I'm gonna extrude one more time. I'm gonna select the outer faces, and I'm gonna extrude them. And so they are gonna cover like the blue area in the reference. So I'm gonna select everything, and here inside too, and I'm gonna scale that out so it's not like crossing part of the sword. So I'm making the base of the sword thinner. And here I'm gonna just move some points so I get the shape I want. Like in the reference is more like a diamond shape. So I'm just moving this here. Now I'm gonna get the center circle, and I'm gonna extrude this one. No, let me redo this. So I extrude one, and then I'm gonna extrude just the middle, then just this other one, and I think that's good enough. Now it's time to select all the edges I need, the edges that I want to make it hard. So the same process I did for the character, now I'm doing for the sword. So I'm just selecting the faces that should be harder. So any corner, any part where one type of metal is meeting another part of metal, like separate pieces, anything that should be hard, I'm gonna be selecting here. So lots of corners here, sharp corners, and again, I know this part it's not the most fun part. It depends on how much you like working 3D or not. Some people find kind of soothing to just do stuff in 3D space, just like playing a video game. But some people think this is like super boring. So let's select here. We have some more stuff to do here. On the other side and on the top. Here. More edges here. And now harden edge. So this is the final version of our game character. So it's a good representation of our concept art here. So this is just a low poly version. That's what we needed to do in this module, but we still have a lot of things we need to do before we can send this to the game engine and have the character work in our game. But we're going to be doing this in our next modules. So see you guys next time. Bye.